After the release of the hit Netflix series The Last Dance, employees across the world decided to test their value to the companies they work for by demanding a 2-day break to go to Vegas and clear their mind because they couldn't cope with the pressures of their job if they didn't. All those people, who have most likely since been fired, did so because of one man, Dennis Rodman, aka The Worm, perhaps the most out there and unique, if not controversial, player in NBA history. Dennis Rodman drew headlines throughout his career for so many things unrelated to basketball. His wrestling match with Hulk Hogan springs to mind, that it's easy to forget he's arguably the best defender and rebounder the league has ever seen. His career statistics alone are a solid reminder of just how dominant he was on the boards, leading the league in rebounding for 7 years in a row. This despite only being 6'8". He also made 7 appearances on the NBA All-Defensive First Team, 2 third-team All-Defensive appearances, and was named as the Defensive Player of the Year twice. Those stats earned him induction into the Hall of Fame in 2011, the same year in which the Detroit Pistons retired his number 10 jersey. He is also a 5-time NBA champion, earning 2 with the Bad Boys Detroit Pistons in 1989 and 1990, and 3 more with the Chicago Bulls from 1996 to 1998. He was a key contributor in what are considered 2 of the best teams in NBA history. Unfortunately, off-court antics from his infamous trip to Vegas to his alleged near-suicide outside the Palace of Auburn Hills Arena in 1993 have somewhat distracted from what was one of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. The people who saw him play and played against him haven't forgotten what he did for the game, though. So join us as we take a look at what some of the legends of the game think of Dennis Rodman and his ability on a basketball court. There's an old saying that greatness recognizes greatness, and it is never truer than in the world of sports. Even the fiercest of rivals are quick to acknowledge the talents of their opposition. It's no surprise then that when NBA legends talk about Dennis Rodman as a player, they know they've witnessed greatness firsthand. So to give all the newcomers to the world of basketball a better idea of just how good Dennis Rodman was as a player, we're going to walk you through what some of the legends think of his game and what he could do on the court. A good place to start is with ex-teammate and Hall of Famer David Robinson, who Rodman played with during a brief stint with the Spurs in the early 1990s. At this point in his career, Rodman was starting to gain a reputation for the notoriety and controversy that would dominate headlines in his time with the Bulls. David Robinson, appearing on Undeniable with Joe Buck, gives his take on Rodman as a player as well as how the issues off the court affected the Spurs team. Speaking to Rodman as a player, Robinson said, "I love Dennis, I really do. He's an unbelievable player, incredibly athletic. He was like Superman." He also said that Rodman could run all day long, never got tired, and was like the Energizer Bunny. Robinson also explained that he liked having Dennis as a teammate because when he played with him, it felt like you have a warrior next to you. High praise from one of the best forwards to ever play the game and only one of 2 men to average a triple-double across an entire NBA season. However, in that same interview, he said, "On the court, he's a great guy to have with you. Off the court, it's a little bit of a different story," hinting at the difficulties Dennis Rodman was going through as a person and the impact it was having on the locker room around him. This contrast between his immense ability and positive contributions on the court and his struggles personally off the court would become a common theme throughout his career. Another fellow teammate who saw early on that Rodman might struggle with the fast-paced lifestyle of a famous athlete was Hall of Fame guard Isiah Thomas. Isiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman won back-to-back championships together as part of the Bad Boys Detroit Pistons of the late 1980s and early 1990s. The two grew close in their time together in Detroit. In fact, Rodman has said that he considered Thomas to be a big brother to him. Rodman said that Thomas would regularly leave his house, his family, in the middle of the night to come and take care of me. He knew that I wasn't too bright as far as living the life of an NBA player. Rodman's comments in this interview are confirmed by Isiah Thomas in an interview he gave after having to walk away from the set during the filming of Rodman's 30 for 30 documentary on ESPN. Thomas said, "The Dennis that we were watching, I knew that the places he was at weren't giving him the unconditional love that he was looking for. There was a crying out for help and I just felt like there was nobody helping." The former Detroit point guard clearly shares a strong bond with Dennis Rodman, but what does he think of him as a player? While commenting on a game Rodman played for the Bulls against the Los Angeles Lakers for NBC, Thomas said that all young kids should watch the way Rodman rebounds a basketball and was quick to point out that, by leading the league in rebounds at 36 years old, Rodman joined Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain as the only 3 players to do that in the history of the league. It was clear that Dennis Rodman had managed to channel the anger and upset he felt internally in a positive way on the basketball court. Unfortunately, those same issues would become a hindrance to his success later in his career, but in his time with the Pistons, the only thing Rodman cared about was winning basketball games. To give those relatively new to the world of Dennis Rodman an idea of just how drastically his personality and off-court persona shifted from the start of his career to the end of it, here's a clip of Rodman crying after being chosen as the Defensive Player of the Year in 1990. Certainly a stark contrast to the notorious figure he became later in his career. That being said, his personal downward spiral never affected his on-court ability, and Isaiah Thomas isn't the only legend of the game to comment on just how good Dennis Rodman was. In an episode of NBA Open Court, the likes of Charles Barkley, Steve Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal spoke about the mercurial power forward and just how talented he was. Charles Barkley, otherwise known as the round mound of rebound, perhaps best sums up how miraculous Rodman's ability to play the game was given his off-court antics when he says that Rodman killed that "you need a good night's sleep" theory. High praise indeed from a player with a similar reputation for enjoying one too many social occasions during his playing career. Another NBA great, championship-winning shooting guard Steve Smith, commented on how amazed he was by Rodman's tireless work ethic. Smith used to go and train with the Pistons while he was in college and remarked on how impressed he was by the fact that Rodman used to do an hour of cardio on the Stairmaster or the treadmill after games. Smith also paid homage to Rodman's defensive capabilities, saying he never thought he'd find a guy at 6'8" who could defend him straight up and be quick enough to slide his feet and draw a charge until he played against Rodman. Another guard quick to heap praise on Dennis Rodman is one of his teammates from his championship days with the Chicago Bulls, Steve Kerr. Kerr said he considers Rodman one of the greatest athletes to ever play in the NBA. Shaquille O'Neal is quick to concur with Steve Kerr, confirming Rodman's well-earned reputation as one of the best physical specimens to ever play in the league, calling him a phenomenal athlete who did things his own way. Famously, Rodman is one of the few people in the league who managed to guard Shaquille O'Neal with at least some success on multiple occasions, using his athleticism and speed to upset the bruising 7'1" Lakers legend despite giving up significant height and weight to him. That perhaps best summarizes the type of player Rodman was. He enjoyed the dirty, grinded-out kind of work that defense and rebounding involved, showing little interest in the flashy scoring aspect of the game. Despite the widespread media coverage his lifestyle and off-court antics attracted, he had little interest in being in the spotlight when it came to basketball. Instead of chasing after 30-point games, buzzer beaters, and scoring titles, Rodman found joy in the blue-collar areas of basketball that are often neglected in today's game. It was this give-all attitude that so endeared Rodman to fans at the time. His commitment to rebounding, defense, and general hustle made him a nightmare for opposing teams and the perfect complement to players like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Isaiah Thomas. Speaking of MJ and Scottie Pippen, we should clarify that since The Last Dance has revived so much coverage about the Bulls squad and how they all thought about each other, we have decided not to include the opinions of MJ and Scottie in this video. Their admiration for Rodman is well documented and the three share a strong bond of friendship to this day. That being said, there are still plenty of other NBA stars ready to heap praise on Rodman for his defensive and rebounding capabilities. Joe Dumars, Hall of Famer and teammate of Rodman's in Detroit when they won back-to-back championships, spoke of Rodman's defensive abilities on an interview for NBA TV. Dumars said, "He is truly the only person I've ever known who could guard all 5 positions, and I don't just mean guard them a little bit, clamp down and shut down." Alonzo Mourning, a 7-time All-Star, said Rodman's rebounding abilities put him in the same league as Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain in terms of the impact he had on the game. We think that's probably the most fitting compliment Dennis Rodman could ever be given. He was notorious, controversial, and maligned, but the man could play ball with the best of them. So there you have it, tributes to Dennis Rodman's ability on the basketball court from some of the greatest in the game. The Worm might have the best bud in North Korea who thinks the world of him, but there are plenty back home who are admirers too, both of his work as a player and who he is as a person. We hope that those new to the phenomenon that is Rodman can take away from this video some understanding of just how good the man really was. To those who already know, let's do our best to keep the legacy of the man alive. The media have had their day with him, but we won't forget that he was a baller first and will always be a baller at heart. Like this video if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.